I have been involved in low-maintenance gardens since the year 1956, when I was the project manager for the house designed by world-renowned Los Angeles architect Richard Neutra that was being built in Havana. The landscaping being designed by the also world-renowned Brazilian landscape architect Roberto Burle Marx. When Burle Marx learned that I wanted to create some experimental low-maintenance gardens in some projects that I was designing in the outskirts of Havana, he offered me his expertise. First, he gave me the names of the hardiest plants, explaining that they all had small leaves with a reduced evaporation rate that required very little irrigation. He suggested that I use the palm fronds that were available in Cuba to cover the ground between plants to control the weeds. It was a surprise to learn that the palm fronds also helped to minimize the irrigation. It was also a surprise to see how well those plants started growing with just a little water at the time of planting and no more watering afterwards. This was the beginning of my training in landscape architecture, which I would practice for many years up to the present. My thesis for graduation as landscape architect from Florida International University was saltwater inundation in a barrier island. The object of the thesis was Key Biscayne after Hurricane Andrew on August of 1992. It took me 18 months to complete the thesis, which included a research on beach plants, their environment, and survival conditions under lack of irrigation. In my research, I noticed that almost all the beach plants I had seen, many dead leaves near the bottom of their trunks, and that the soil at that point was slightly humid. I also noticed that apparently no weeds were adjacent to the trunk roots. Plants with larger leaves like sea grapes were easier to study. It was found that the dew would collect on the leaves, slowly moving to the branches, then down the main trunk towards the roots, where several dead leaves maintain a minimum of humidity at the bottom of the trunk. It seemed that the small amount of dew that reached the roots of the plant was sufficient to keep the plant alive during the dry seasons with no rain. Part of the study included the interest of replicating the natural irrigation by using mulch in lieu of dead leaves. The mulch we found to be the more reliable was heavy pine bark nuggets, which was available at Home Depot stores. After several trials, it was found that a minimum of 2 inches of the mulch at the bottom of the trunks would produce the similar effect as the 5 or 6 layers of large dead leaves of the sea grape at the same location. It was also found that with time, more dead leaves pile on top of the mulch, helping with the system. In the experiment, it was found that all beach plants needed several layers of dead leaves or 2 to 3 inches of heavy mulch to survive. We've also found that substituting the layer of dead leaves with 2 inches of the heavy mulch also stopped the weeds from multiplying. The 18 months of the study included very small shrubs and ground covers with similar natural conditions. The use of 2 inches of heavy mulch again provided the same results observed on the larger plants. Sodded areas nearby responded differently than the beech plants that were observed in the study. Sodded areas needed water on a regular basis. Otherwise, they would dry out and die. Another part of the study was related to the toxicity of the salt water inundation. It was found that trees on very well-drained sites lost many leaves but did not die. However, the same kind of trees on not so well-drained sites, after several months, did eventually die, the roots being totally burned. In 2008, I had the opportunity to apply my 18-month research findings on beech plants on a large landscaping project with the use of minimal irrigation solutions. The Ocean Club at Seven Seas on the eastern end of Puerto Rico, close to the ocean at Las Corabas, was a 222-unit residential condominium development of 14 three-story buildings in approximately 23 acres of land. I submitted to the developers an alternate landscape design using beech plants with no sod nor irrigation system that would have a lower monthly maintenance cost to the buyers and a considerably initial savings to the developer. My project was accepted, being started by mid-2008 and completed on 2009. Sod areas were totally eliminated. In their place, I specified 4 inches of compacted half-inch whitewashed gravel over the filter fabric. Rain leaders and air-sea condensate lines discharge on the gravel areas. Sloping grounds required erosion control. For these areas, I selected with Widelia trilobata a local ground cover with a deep root system which was perfect for the location. The Widelia trilobata was installed using plant plugs through a jute woven fabric that allowed the roots to develop under a protected environment. 2 inches of heavy mulch was applied in between the plant plugs to allow the dew to maintain the humidity of the soil. A serious problem developed when it was not possible to get sufficient dead leaves to recreate the conditions that were found during our beech plant study. The bags of pine bark nuggets that were used in South Florida experiment as a substitute for dead leaves, by the time that they arrived at the project site in Puerto Rico with freight and handling, had a prohibitive price tag of almost 10 times the original purchase price. Someone suggested to see if we could use grounded wood pallets. Pallets, after arriving in Puerto Rico with bags of merchandise, were piled up with no further use. Checking with the power company's tree trimming crews, it was found that mulching equipment could be adjusted to produce a heavy mulch similar to the pine bark nuggets from Home Depot. Someone arranged to remove the pallet nails for $1 each before the mulching process. After some testing, the 2 inches of heavy pallet mulch worked perfectly with the lack of irrigation system. I cannot recall how many hundreds of pallets were used in the project. The previously planned sod areas, now white gravel areas, provided an excellent walkway to move within planted areas. They were also used as a natural drain for the project. As a result of all these conditions, the monthly maintenance costs were lowered, helping sell all the condo units on a record time. All the trees, palms, and plants had 2 inches of the heavy pallet mulch and were separated from the gravel areas by a 4-inch rubber edging to keep the mulch in place. The following are the result of using beech plants and adequate heavy mulch. First, the developer had a substantial initial savings by not having to provide irrigation system. Second, the beech plants landscaping system at the Ocean Club at 7 Seas in Puerto Rico not found it necessary to purchase any water for irrigation for the last 8 years. Condominium owners during this time have enjoyed low maintenance costs. All the plants have grown at a slow rate, and the Wedelia ground covers slopes are full of yellow flowers.